Welcome to Rationality, Reason, and Reality. I'm Supernova. Today I've got a few more logical fallacies to discuss. Logical fallacies being mistakes in logical thinking or reasoning. The first one is the fallacy of composition. That is where you assume that the whole of something has the traits of its individual parts. For instance, hydrogen is a gas at room temperature and oxygen is a gas at room temperature. But you would be making a fallacy if you thought that the combination of the two, water, is a gas at room temperature, and obviously it's not, it's a liquid. There's also the fallacy of division, which is the exact same thing, only in reverse. It's to assume that the parts of something have the traits of the whole. For instance, if you thought that hydrogen or oxygen were liquids at room temperature just because water is, that would be making that fallacy. I don't know of any Christian examples of either of these fallacies. I know I've called them out before, but nothing comes to mind. A very closely related fallacy to the fallacy of composition is one known as hasty generalization. It's often confused with it. Hasty generalization is just stereotyping. It's where you have a small group of something that shares a trait, and so you believe that the group at large must also carry that trait. Not the whole, but just every individual member of that group. For instance, if you saw hydrogen and oxygen combine into water and you thought, wow, every combination of hydrogen and oxygen must be good to drink, then you'd be stereotyping. You'd be making a hasty generalization, and then you'd find out that hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, is not all that safe to ingest. So you shouldn't stereotype. It's always wrong. I'm sure people have told you that stereotyping is bad. It's bad because it's a logical fallacy. I see this a lot when I discuss the truth of the Bible with people. I ask, why do you think that the Bible is true? Why do you think it as a whole is true? And people say, well, there are parts in it that are true. I guess you could see this as a fallacy of composition, but it's more stereotyping. There are parts that are unverifiable, for instance, the existence of heaven and hell, or the traits of God that are beyond the mysterious and such. There's only so much you can verify, and a lot of Christians believe that all of it must be true because the parts that they can verify seem to be true. And even if it were true that the things that we can stack up against evidence were true, it wouldn't make the whole thing true. That would be a logical fallacy. Another one is where people say, oh, I know some atheists and they hate God, so all atheists hate God. Well, it's not true by definition. You don't have to hate God to be an atheist. In fact, it's kind of silly because it seems like hating God would presuppose believing in his existence. So it would seem that any true Christian wouldn't hate God. But nonetheless, even if you did believe that, it's not true of all of us, even if you've seen it true in a small sample. And I hate to say this, but atheists are not rational as a group, as a whole. It's not part of the defining characteristics of atheists. I know a lot of us atheists like to think that, but even if it's true of many of us or most of us, it's not true of all of us in general. That's stereotyping. So anyway, I hope you learned something from this. I'll come out with some more fallacies tomorrow. Please comment below if you like this, if you have any suggestions, if you have any corrections. I welcome them all. Peace.